Hey, thanks for joining me, everyone, on this Friday. It's a Fact Check Friday, the 29th of September, 2023. Yeah, glad to see everyone. We're streaming live right now on YouTube and on Rumble and on DLive and on Twitch. Well, not a whole lot of people over there. Anyway, glad to see everyone. But folks, we got a bit of a situation on our hands. Yeah, we're in a hole. And I'm not talking about the plot line of some bad sci-fi series. No, I'm talking about the kind of hole we've dug for ourselves as a nation. It's time to face the music and stop digging. First, we got a deficit. National debt has skyrocketed to levels that even Bezos would have trouble comprehending. It's like we're living in a never-ending episode of Price is Right, and the deficit's the grand prize that nobody ever wanted to win. I mean, think about it. We're so deep in the red. Sorry, I'm editing a bad joke on the fly. That one's no good. I'll skip it. Next on our whole tour is illegal immigration. Now, don't get me wrong. We need secure borders, but our immigration system's more tangled than my extension cord. We stopped building walls and fences because, reasons. But let's be real, folks. If you really want to stop illegal immigration, we should set up a DMV at the border for all newcomers. Trust me, many would turn around right then and head back home. And finally, the pièce de résistance in our hole digging extravaganza, political division. We're so divided. It's like we're living in alternate universes depending on where you get your news. But here's the thing, America. We got to stop digging. Stop digging these holes. It's time to put down the shovel, drop the partisanship, and start working together, because if we keep going, we're going to end up in China. So, in conclusion, my fellow Americans, let's be the generation that decides to stop digging. Fill the holes, not with more dirt, but with some common sense, compromise, and willingness to do what's right for our country. It's time to climb out of this mess, get back on solid ground. My name's Tom Coffey. This is the Coffee Nuance Show, best censored commentary and news show live. Right now, flame on. So that's it. That's kind of the thought that I wanted to talk about today. I just wish we would stop digging. Make America Great Again is a nice slogan. I know some people are like, when was it ever great for certain people? Just the idea, hey, let's make things better, right? If someone's slogan was, hey, let's make things better, that would be something we could all get behind. I don't even want that. I just want it to stop becoming worse. Every time I turn around, everything seems to be going in the wrong direction. Now, as an example, I live in Portland. We got this Bureau of Transportation, and I don't know if they're just trying to justify their jobs by screwing everything up, but they just keep changing the streets and keep adding more and more sidewalks, or not sidewalks, more and more crosswalks, and signs, and lights, and lanes, and they've made it a mess. Over the past 20 years, we used to have these nice streets that were clear, and they keep trying to make it better by putting in islands and all kinds of crap. They've made it so much worse. They just keep making it worse. So that's what I want us to do as a country. Let's just stop digging. Stop digging, okay? We don't have to make it better, but can we just stop doing what makes things worse? That's what I would like. That's what I would like. Anyway, we got an interesting show for you today. I got a couple of stories to get to today. It's a Fact Check Friday. So I will have a fact check, not really a fact check, but an idea about fact-checking that we should all consider. But first up, we got to talk about Elon, because he was down there hanging out in Eagle Pass. Oh, good coffee. Good coffee. You know, folks, Elon Musk went down to Texas-Mexico border to get an unfiltered view of the immigration situation. Now, I have to say, if you want an unfiltered view on anything, just check Twitter at 3 in the morning. Billionaire Elon Musk visited the Texas-Mexico border for an unfiltered view of the immigration situation, which has seen an increase in migrants crossing into the U.S. in recent days. Musk, dressed in black attire, advocated for reforming U.S. immigration laws with an emphasis on expediting legal approvals and expanding legal immigration while maintaining strict entry policies for lawbreakers. He described himself as extremely pro-immigrant and highlighted his immigrant status. Musk's involvement in American politics has grown, including hosting a Republican presidential campaign launch and meeting with world leaders. The visit coincided with his significant business interests in Texas, where Tesla and SpaceX have operations. So, yeah, I watched this. Is it just me, or is his hat on backwards? I think his Stetson's on backwards. I don't know. Maybe that's the new trend. I don't know. Anyway, I did watch the live streams of Elon down there at the border. He was talking with people that worked for border control, local politicians, people of that sort, just to get a first-hand look at what's going on there. And I think we can agree that there is some kind of crisis there, and I am glad that someone is shining a light on it. So often, you know, the only things that can get fixed are the things that we focus on. And if we don't focus on it, it ain't ever going to get fixed. And again, it doesn't have to be better. It just has to stop being worse. You know, that's my theme of the day. Yeah. Did you see Elon down there at the border? It was actually amazing how many thousands of people were crossing there. And, you know, sometimes you got to see something firsthand. You hear something on the news and you're like, I got to see this for myself. I got to see this for myself. And when you do, you may realize what I'm seeing with my own eyes, my own lying eyes, seems to be a little bit different than the way that it's being presented in the news. How about that? But we'll go back to believing everything else they say, right? Because that's what we do. Anyway, speaking of immigration and borders and all that good stuff, let's talk about what's happening in Sweden with that. Well, folks, seems Sweden is bringing in the military to deal with a crime wave. You know, things are getting serious when IKEA starts selling bulletproof bookshelves. Ba-dum-bum. Sweden's Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson is involving the military to combat a significant surge in violent crime, including shootings and bombings. It is an unusual step for Sweden, highlighting the severity of the gang violence that has resulted in multiple deaths, including innocent individuals. The exact military role is yet to be determined, but it may involve taking over protection duties from the police to free up resources for crime fighting. The country has seen a record number of shootings, with over 60 deaths this year. It's getting up there near Portland. Primarily linked to criminal gang feuds. the government is revising a criminal code to empower the police, impose longer sentences, and enhance witness protection. So one thing that's happened over there in Sweden, Sweden has changed. Sweden has totally changed. It's about a population of 10 million, and about 2 million are immigrants. Yeah. Now, most of these immigrants are from Africa and the Middle East. And it has changed life in Sweden. It has just changed everything. You know, you can have good intentions about trying to help people, but just because you let people into your country doesn't mean they will assimilate to your way of living. They may continue the violent behavior that they had where they came from. You know, especially if the majority of the people that you're taking in are like military-aged men, right? This is just what's going to happen, and Sweden is seeing this firsthand. For a number of years, there are zones in Sweden, and you know, some in the media will call this unfounded or conspiracy theory. No, there are no-go zones in many areas in Sweden where it's just not safe to be. It's not safe for the police to be. And this is what happens when you allow in people that are coming from situations where they're violent. They don't automatically stop being violent when you let them in your country, you know. Especially when you segregate them, you make them all together in these areas. It's really sad. It's really sad that Sweden used to be one of the safest places in the world, and right now it is not. In fact, I think it's one of the highest now in Europe for rape. Yeah. And when you look at the violent crime in Sweden, it's about 90% of the suspects are, let's just say, not traditionally Swedish looking. So that's bringing in a lot, and it is something that countries need to be careful of when they just open and let in millions and millions of people. There are consequences for that. So I'm sure the people over there in Sweden are just like, can we please stop making it worse? Can we please stop digging a hole? So, anyway, but we do have a little bit of, this is a positive story coming up, so let's get to that. It's an update. Here we go. This Hollywood writers' strike was like a never-ending episode of a TV drama. I mean, it lasted so long that even the AI-generated scripts had writer's block. It's not even funny. Anyway, the story is that Hollywood writers and studios have reached a deal to end a 150-day strike. The contract lasted until May 2026, offers pay increases and protections against AI-generated content. Streaming content bonuses based on viewership will be introduced starting in January. The agreement now awaits approval from the Writers Guild of America members. After this, negotiations will shift to the Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, which is seeking similar improvements and transparency in its contract negotiations with Hollywood studios. So it looks like the crisis has been averted, and perhaps we will actually get some shows this fall, some new shows that aren't reality shows. Because I saw one the other day It was David Spade, and I think it was called Snake Oil, and the contestants were just trying to figure out if products were real or not. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so bad. This is so bad. Please end the writers' strike. We need writers for our entertainment. My goodness. So anyway, hopefully this is coming to an end, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But since it is Friday, let's get to the fact check. Oh, boom. Okay. Well, today I'm not technically going to do a fact check. I want to talk about an idea in fact checking. And it's just an idea. And I think it's really important. So in fact checking, the goal is you want to verify the accuracy of claims, right? That's the point. So you want to verify that the claims are accurate, that statements are accurate, and you examine all the available evidence and sources. Now, assumptions play a significant role in the fact-checking process. And they can be both a help and a hindrance depending on how they're handled. So we have helpful assumptions. Sometimes assumptions are necessary in the absence of complete information. So we don't know everything. We got to make some assumptions. Well, fact-checkers may need to make reasonable assumptions based on available data or context to arrive at a conclusion. These assumptions can bridge gaps in information and contribute to a more comprehensive fact-checking process. But often, there can be hindering assumptions. So making unwarranted or biased assumptions can lead to errors in fact-checking if fact-checker starts with a preconceived notion or bias, and they may overlook critical evidence or fail to consider alternative interpretations. This can result in a flawed fact check, and we see this way too much. So to be effective, fact checkers should strive to be impartial and objective as possible. They should clearly state any assumptions they make and not just make you assume these assumptions. They should state what their assumptions are. Fact-checking organizations often have established guidelines, but they don't follow them, okay? And the impact of assumptions really can change everything about a fact check. Additionally, transparency is crucial. So they should always be transparent about their methods and any assumptions they make so that the reader can evaluate that for themselves. So I want to give you one example here. I just pulled up, this is a New York Times today. There's a fresh article. Okay, fresh article here. It says, fact checkers take stock of their effort. It's not getting better. The momentum behind organizations can aim to combat online falsehoods has started to taper off. Okay, now let's look at what the assumption here is. Just in the opening paragraph here. After President Biden won the election nearly 3 years ago, 3 of every 10 Americans believed the false narrative that his victory resulted from fraud, a poll found. In the years since, fact-checkers have debunked the claim in lengthy articles, corrections posted on viral content, videos, and chat rooms. So, what's the assumption here? What is the assumption in this article? Because without this assumption, none of this makes any sense. Well, the assumption is, okay, if you can't prove that there was fraud, then there was no fraud. That's the assumption that they're making, and the New York Times should state that. But that's not logical, right? It's not logical. Just because you can't prove something doesn't mean that it didn't happen. The only thing that you can say is that there's not evidence of fraud, okay? So you can say there hasn't been proven evidence of fraud. That's fair. But the New York Times, and I will say just about every fact checker out there, They go with this assumption, and it's a false assumption, that if you can't prove something, it didn't happen. Okay? That makes no sense. And that's a false assumption. That is, what did I call it in this thing I wrote? Oh. It is a hindering assumption. Yes. Can't remember. Couldn't remember. It's a hindering assumption. To assume that because you can't find something doesn't mean it didn't happen makes no sense, right? There could be, potentially, I'm not saying that there is, but there could be something out there that we don't know yet. Okay? If you have a partner, a spouse, and you think your spouse cheated on you, but you have no evidence that they cheated on you, you cannot then just conclude that they didn't cheat on you, right? All you can conclude is, well, I don't have any evidence that they cheated on me. That's it. I just don't have any evidence they cheated on me. I don't have any proof. I can assume they didn't cheat on me. But I shouldn't assume that that's not a possibility, because of course it's a possibility. Right? If you were asleep and you wake up, you don't know that it rained. You didn't see that it rained. It may have rained. You just don't have any evidence that it rained. Okay? And that's a hindering assumption that fact checkers make. Okay? And right then, it shows their bias. It shows their bias. I'm not making any claims about any election ever. I'm making no claims about that. If there's not evidence of fraud, the conclusion is there's no evidence of fraud. But it doesn't mean that everything was on the up and up. We just don't have any evidence otherwise. And that's a big assumption. That's a big assumption to make. So I want you to keep this in mind when you're reading a fact check. Ask yourself, what is the assumption here? And is this assumption fair? Is this assumption that a reasonable person would make? Or is this a hindering assumption? So that is my tip for fact checking on this Fact Check Friday. Always ask, what is the assumption in this fact check? Okay, and lastly, we got to get to some good news. So here's the good news. Folks, they say yogurt can neutralize garlic breath. Well, that's great news for all those vampires out there trying to blend in at the salad bar. I don't even know what that means. That joke doesn't even make sense. Fact check. Dumb joke. I don't know. I'm tired. Researchers have discovered that proteins found in whole milk plain yogurt can effectively neutralize the odor and sulfur-based components responsible for garlic breath. So Dr. Behringer, a food science professor at Ohio State University, or should I say the Ohio State University, and her team found that yogurt reduced almost all of the major odor-producing garlic volatiles by 99%. The study also revealed that high protein content, particularly in yogurt, was more effective at deodorizing garlic than water or fat. They observed the yogurt's pH level and protein configuration played a role in its deodorizing ability. This research lays the groundwork for potential garlic breath eradication products using specific proteins, with Greek yogurt being recommended as an effective remedy for garlic breath. Well, how about that? If you care about garlic breath, now you have something for that. Me, I don't even care. I like garlic. I smell like garlic. Who cares? But if I did care, this is actually fantastic news. You don't have to run out, get gum, use some mouthwash, brush your teeth. Perhaps some clever restaurants will then serve maybe just a little tiny cup of Greek yogurt after a meal that had a lot of garlic. That might be a real clever thing to do. Something to consider, something to be on the lookout for. And if garlic breath is a big deal to you, well, this is good news. This is good news, and we need some good news every day. It's damn hard to find good news stories. I tell you what, you don't even realize until you start looking. For my show, I try to come up with a good news story of the day. And often it's harder to come up with a good news story than it is in anything else. It really is. People don't write them. Just a lot of searching. Anyway, that's the good news. Use some yogurt. Knock out that garlic breath. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. I hope you all have an awesome Friday. Just as a reminder, all the cool kids are hitting the like button. If you're on Google, or not Google, YouTube, or on Rumble, smash the like button. I appreciate you for that. It means a lot to me. Stick around for the after show. I'm going to go through all of your comments on the YouTube and on the Rumble. And for everybody that joined me on my stream the other night on Rumble, I did a live stream of the second presidential debate. That was a lot of fun. I liked hanging out with y'all and going back and forth in the chat. That was a lot of fun for me, so I appreciate all the people that joined me over there. It was fun to do something a little bit different, Anyway, stick around for the after show. Have an awesome weekend. Peace. Every time I look at myself here, I always get it's always backwards. It's always backwards. I see a hair out of place. I try to fix it, and I get it wrong. Anyway, what's happening over here? Let's kick it off with the Rumble. Apothecary John, hashtag Rumble Gang. Love it. Fact Check Friday. Everyone's excited about Fact Check Friday. I know I didn't really have a great fact check today, but that was the idea that I really wanted to get across, is just look at the assumption. Because if they're making a BS assumption, chances are the fact check is going to be BS as well. So that's a real easy way to check out a fact checker. Apothecary John says we had 13 people live watching on Rumble. Very cool. Getting the numbers up. Why do you need to think when there are authoritarian sources to think for you? I forgot about that. OX_00. I forgot about that. Yeah, we should stop thinking. We should just accept everything that they tell us as fact. Especially from the fact checkers, because, they're never wrong. I agree. Over on YouTube, Lucid Moments checking in. Apothecary John, that's right. Boom. What's up, Natasha, everyone? Eerie Fairy, what's up? I know you're listening at work. Hairway to Steven says, it seems like it's getting worse by design. It does appear that way. It really does appear that things are getting worse by design. I know that the traffic lights, the timing on them has become worse by me, by design. They're not getting better. In fact, it's like they've made it so bad that now I see more and more people running red lights, more than ever before. And I think it's because they've set up this dumb system that they take forever. If you don't make the light, congratulations. Now you can read a chapter in the book that you have, because it's going to take several minutes before the next light. They've done a terrible job, and it does seem like it's by design. Can't prove that, but that's does what it appears. Elon is doing what the mainstream media isn't. Exactly. How hard would it be for a media company, you know, worth a ton of money, to send somebody down there? They send people when there is, you know, a hurricane. They always send the weathermen down there to get wet and to be reporting live. Why aren't we reporting on what's happening at our border? Interesting. Geraldo Rivera used to do investigative reports just like this. Yeah, it was a bit of an investigative report that Elon was doing, and I got to hand it to him. You know, and you can think like, oh, why is he doing it? Well, the reason that he's doing it is because nobody else is. And if no one else is doing it, someone's got to do it, so I'm glad Elon is. Good on him. Natasha says, I actually have positioned bookshelves strategically when I lived in a bad neighborhood. Well, I'm glad you're out of that neighborhood. IKEA versus gangs. Yikes. Clear them out. Seems like just another battle in the war against women. Feels that way sometimes. Well, Gonzo the Good hit me up with a 10 spot. Thank you for covering some wildly overlooked topics. Not many people talking about what's happening in Sweden. You know what's interesting about Sweden is I think that was the first time that I heard about Tim Pool. Right? A lot of people know Tim Pool now. He's really popular. He's got millions of people watching him, wearing his beanie cap and all of that. But the first time I heard about him was, I think someone was offering money to go check out Sweden because there were no-go zones in Sweden. And the media was just saying, it's fake news, it's fake news, it's fake news. I forget who offered money, but someone offered money for a reporter to go over there. And I think Tim Pool went over there to report on these gangs in Sweden and how dangerous it was over there. That was the first time I heard about him. And I think at the time, you know, I maybe had 100,000 subscribers or something like that. But afterwards, boy, he really blew up after that. Now he's got like, you know, a million people watching him. All from doing some on-the-ground reporting. So, yeah. But anyway, thank you, Gonzo. I appreciate that. Perfect fact-checking analogies. Well, I try. I have a magnet that says, instead of cleaning the house, I just turn off the lights. Can't see the evidence in the dark. There you go. That works. Fact check true, bad joke. Yeah. Yeah, I did a couple fitness classes this morning, and I just didn't put in enough time. Usually I look at the jokes and I rework them. That joke I wrote last night, and I didn't rework it. It was dumb. It's just dumb. Let's see. Isn't there a Mediterranean sauce made out of both garlic and yogurt? Is that tzatziki? Tzatziki? Something like that? Lumby, let me my garlic breath. Yeah, I'm a big garlic breath guy. Island Duril. Somehow the algorithm did not care for your comment, and it retracted the comment. Or maybe you did, I'm not sure. Garlic yogurt sauce is great. Had a Turkish friend who showed me the recipe. Never thought about it, but I never had garlic breath afterwards. Natasha tzatziki sauce. Tzatziki sauce. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah, the stream the other night was cool. Thank you for hanging out, Lucid Moments. Gonzo says, the gangs in Sweden are almost entirely not from Sweden originally, or the sons of immigrants. Migration's great, but countries need to be careful who they're incentivizing. Yeah. You know, that's the tough thing is if you just bring in a bunch of young men, right? Young men alone, things don't seem to work out as well as if you're bringing in just like families and whatever. Thought police, looks like you've had a little bit too much to think. Exactly. I feel that way sometimes. How did you know what I did at Lights? Nice. I lived in Portland. This is a Hairway to Steven. I lived in Portland 2007 to 2010, and it was a beautiful place to be back then. It is still beautiful, and I do think we're swinging back. But it's been tough. But I tell you, every time I look at what the city council does and what the Bureau of Transportation does, it's like they just keep making everything worse. I just want you to stop. Just stop. Just stop. Stop digging a hole, right? I don't need to be better. Just stop making it worse. Tom, you should go to the border, do something dangerous, get millions of viewers. Elon Duri, you deleted it. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure that you deleted your comment, and just to be aware of it. Sometimes the algorithm, you'll say something and it doesn't like what you say and it'll just delete it. Because I don't delete anyone's comments, so I just wanted to check on that. Yeah, anyway, yeah, we had a good time during the debate. And I'd like to be doing more kind of live streams when things are happening. I don't know about going down to the border. I've been to the border. I mean, I used to live in southern New Mexico. So I crossed the border. I've crossed the border 100 times probably. So I don't have any great desire to go down there. If I thought I could do it and get the channel to take off, I would consider that, but I don't know. We seem to be a bit suppressed here. Anyway, it is what it is. That's all I have for y'all today. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you more than you know. Have a beautiful weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Peace.